I'm really happy to go last. My voice has given out. Spent a considerable amount of time yesterday screaming at the television, so fortunately it was a good outcome for me, so we'll leave it at that. But also I get to hear what some of you guys are saying, and hopefully I haven't heard too much contradictory to what I'm going to say today, but for those points that are contradictory, I look forward to having good discussions over the next couple of days. When I got this topic, I started to think, you know, in my past life and in my current role, I work with manufacturers who are retailers. I know there's some here, American Eagle, some others. Work with multi-brand retailers like Target, who's here, Amazon in the back, and also, you know, with manufacturers who are trying to be relevant at retailers. And so through those three, I thought, you know, I don't want to be too prescriptive with what the holiday numbers mean and what strategies you should follow. So today's talk is really going to be kind of about the what, some of the topic areas I think you probably should focus on, and maybe less of the how. So for your specific situation, your specific retail environment, the how is probably going to be a bit different. And holiday sales numbers, I'm sure that you've seen them flooding in. People try to be the first to report. Some are inaccurate, some are accurate. All the numbers that I have are from Channel Advisor and ComScore. And so we can talk about the merit of the numbers themselves as well, if you want to. But what I hope to do is kind of distill them down to create some salient points that we can talk about. And so we'll just get started. I've juxtaposed some of the numbers to physical retail and digital retail, mostly just to make the points that I want to make, so we can talk about that as well. Obviously, it's different when you're talking about 7% or 8% of your overall sales in a channel, or in mobile, maybe 1%, versus this big bubble. Percentages start to be a little deceiving. And I love to hear that people in Silicon Valley think that 93% of retail is a train wreck. So we have our work cut out for us, people. Physical retail sales are down. I think that's not a big surprise because traffic is down. Traffic is down pretty considerably. But there's this little green arrow down here that says conversion and average order value are up. And I think that that's good. We're really in a transition period for retail. And I think that transition period is figuring out what are we going to do with retail as part of a larger journey. It's no longer about making retail a whole end-to-end solution and making online an end-to-end solution. We understand that people are using mobile in the store and that everything can build on one another. And we've heard that 4 or 5 times today. Figuring out ways to get retail maybe more condensed. We have more retail square footage per person in the United States by far than any other country in the world. And I think that's starting to show its head. So we'll get more efficient, and I think that those numbers are going to start to grow. And then online retail. Again, online retail overall is up. Amazon is no surprise. Google Shopping, some of those others, Yahoo, are leading the way with double-digit growth. The interesting thing is, and the red arrow I have, is this thing about search. So Courtney and Karthik were talking a little bit about that. And what's interesting is a phenomenon that started in the Amazon search bar with consumer packaged goods is starting to move out into other categories. And that is that we saw a shift when we talked to P&Gs and Unilevers of the world. We started to see a shift where people were moving from the organic or the natural search engines to the Amazon, to the Target search bar to start their search for those types of products. So what they're doing is they're distributing the search, and then they're giving preference to a retailer for that search before they even know maybe necessarily what the value is or what the price is. So that's an interesting dynamic, and it might not affect all of your products, but certainly something to be seen. And as we see search start to drop a little bit, again, this is from Channel Advisor, it's an interesting phenomenon for us to be on the lookout for. Mobile One 2015. I love to say that the year of mobile is every year because we've all heard it a million times, and I love that. I also am going to show you a graph that's very deceiving. Mobile purchases are up 59% because they're a 0.5% of your total sales. So there's nowhere for them to go but up. But there's a great thing and a great lesson to be learned here, and I can't harp on it enough, which is mobile transactions are terrible. We keep asking people to fill out forms that have 23 fields on them, right? And we do that on desktop, it's mildly annoying. On mobile, it's nearly impossible. Curation. We can't give someone 50 or 100 search results and expect them to filter those search results and curate a result on mobile. Dr. Weir was up here talking about the paradox of choice. With mobile, we're kind of killing people with choice, and we expect them to have the same behaviors that they're going to have on desktop. 2016 has to be the year that we fix the mobile transactions, especially because I think there's a bigger sort of paradigm that's going on where people more and more are going to leave your store not with a bag of goods, but with a phone full of goods, right? You look at Bonobos and some of these other retailers that we've seen even today where you're going to physical retail for a very specific reason. Maybe it's for fit, maybe it's for style advice, maybe it's for something else, but you may leave with a phone full of items. And if we can't transact in a good way, then someone else is going to beat us to the punch. So 2016 has to be about making mobile better and mobile transactions specifically. Now, mobile traffic is something different. Mobile traffic has reached the tipping point. Everyone knows that Facebook led the way, maybe 3 years ago, where it officially announced, hey, we have more traffic via mobile than we have anywhere else. I loved the holiday numbers this year. Mobile traffic was at its greatest on Cyber Saturday, so the day after Black Friday. And it was at its least during Cyber Monday, when everyone was being super productive at work, and no one was shopping online at all. But even on its lowest day, mobile traffic during the holiday season was about 55%. And so that means to us, that's where people are. If we want to get those transactions, I would suspect that we need to be better in mobile. This is one that really has come to me in the last maybe 6 months or so, as I've seen articles about Amazon buying a shipping container truck, a fleet of semis. 2015 was the year of the last mile, I think. Anybody go to CES? Hands? You live to tell about it? That's great. Maybe 500 drone makers there, right? 2015 was about last mile delivery. There's so many drones that can't wait to bring you a pizza or a 6-pack of beer or whatever you want. We saw Amazon now with 1-hour service or same-day service. We see even Uber getting in the game, right? With delivering food, delivering groceries, things like that. But 2016 is going to be more about an industrial kind of shift in distribution. You saw how fast online purchases are growing, right? FedEx and UPS are not growing at 30% year over year. They're not even growing at 16% year over year. There's going to have to be a fundamental shift in how and where products are distributed. I also think, and this is where some people might get a little bit mad at me, but I think the one-size-fits-all model of shipping and pricing is going to go away pretty quickly. Someone who lives in Boise, Idaho, a city that I love, I can't treat them the exact same way as I treat someone in Chicago and New York. I can't charge them the same price and expect to deliver something to them in the same amount of time and make it financially viable for a long period of time. So these seismic shifts in alternative distribution are really something that I have that I'm looking out for. Interesting, holiday period 2015, a full 2/3 of packages that were ordered online were delivered in 3 days or less. So whether we like it or not, we're actually training our consumers to have this expectation of delivery and not always thinking, I think, if we're going to be able to live up to kind of the promises that we're making. So certainly a big thing to come out of holiday this last year. And then creating year-long value. So I like things to be interactive, so people at Amazon throw things or scream out if I'm wrong, but this should be complimentary. Here's a number. Approximately $247 million. And what that number represents is close to 3 million Amazon Prime members that were acquired the week before Christmas. Now, I don't know what your total number is for holiday. Last year, it was close to 10 million new Prime members during the holiday season. And the bigger number, the more impressive number than 237 million is 14. And again, I may be wrong. But one report I read said that people who are Amazon Prime members spend 14% more annually on the platform than they did before. So not only are they paying the price to become Prime members, but they're spending more throughout the year. And I think as we look at holiday, especially as retailers, we want to deliver our numbers. We want to make sure that we're getting share of voice because everybody is screaming and it's a screaming match of who's louder than who. But are we really trading discounts and helping people get what they need? Are we asking them for a longer form relationship? And I think 2016 or holiday 2016 is going to be a real opportunity for retailers to say, what is this longer value? I heard lifetime value a couple times up here. I'm calling it year-long value because it's like, I want to bridge the gap between this holiday and next holiday. And how can I use what I'm giving you and exchange that for some interaction throughout the year? And maybe it's a tiered structure where I can be anonymous and get one price. But if I give you information or if I give you interactions, I can get a different price. We heard about Fabletics where they're like, hey, we just want this from you and we'll give you this. Right? I think customers are ready for those types of value exchanges, and we can be better and more prudent with our discounts as we move through there. So really, here's our takeaways. Mobile is a big winner. We have to fix our mobile sites. How you do it is your own business, but you can ask any of your consumers if they like checking out on mobile, and they're going to say no. So there's hundreds of ways that we can fix that. Fulfillment may be an issue. Christmas moves to Sunday this year, which is going to be a very interesting dynamic, especially if you think about this 3-day delivery period. I think that next year we're going to be talking about physical retail's actually up and traffic's actually up because of that dynamic of where Christmas falls this year. But these seismic shifts in fulfillment are definitely going to be an issue. And then how can we make holiday a gateway to year-long value? That's it. So I think there's a minute or two for questions if someone wants to ask any. It's hard for me to see.
Hey, Steve, you mentioned not everyone, or the pricing model and the delivery model being priced differently. What do you think of Jet related to that? It seems like you'd be a fan.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Jet, Mark Laurie. I think that they're doing some good things. I think that they've shown a little bit of their vulnerability, and I don't know how the market is reacting to that. Like when they first started, it was like everything was buttoned up, and now it seems like they're running into some issues, especially because of the partners that they chose and some of the ability of those partners to deliver. Because they're in the CPG space, they didn't deal with some of the problems other retailers dealt with where packages were late this Christmas or this holiday season. I don't know how many of you heard of that, but there was a lot of people who didn't get their packages. So Jet is probably at the forefront, though, of how can I find different alternative models besides UPS and FedEx. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but I'm going to need to supplement moving forward. So if you guys don't know about Jet, they're a CPG retailer. The guys who started Quidsy, who was bought by Amazon, and now they're out there. So I think more people are going to face the things that Jet faced, and more and more they're going to be seen as leaders in that space. So I hope that answers your question.
That was great. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you, guys.
You know it's funny because you know it's all retailers in the room when you're talking.